It's tough to be a truck driving cowgirl. You remember that song that was like on Police Academy 2 when that Bobcat, he's like a big yelling comedian. He like sang that song on the bongos. It's pretty funny. I seen that probably, what was I, 13 years old, and here I am 45, and that just sticks with me. It's tough to be a truck driving cowgirl. And then he's like, my mom wouldn't eat meat. Oh, baby. Something like that, man. It was funny, but it stuck with me. And now, like, I have things that I'll, like, repeat from, like, when I was, like, 10. Like, parts of a movie that I've seen. And then I just, like, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? It just sticks with me. Part of that freaking obsessive, compulsive, freaking shit I got. You know what I mean? Nah, I'm good. Everything's good, man. Yo, guys. We got one of those. I'm in Northeast Pennsylvania. We got another one of those northeastern snowstorms coming up. It's like the second one in a week. If you guys were up here and around last week, huge shit show, man. Truckers everywhere stranded, man. All the major highways were closed. So if you're out there, man, be careful. And, yo, man, lose some money. Lose some money. Like, start calling your dispatcher and be like, yo, get me out of here. You know, if they're planning on putting you up there in Connecticut or upstate New York, be like, yo, I'm not going up there. They got stranded. And then the truckers, they sit there and, you only get paid for the time that your wheels are rolling. So they're sitting there in their truck with their thumbs up their ass, not making a nickel. And I think, one of my other videos, I think that's why a lot of truckers driving the crap. Because they're like, you know what, I'm out here. I'm not going to sit out here and not make money. I'm going to go for it. Or I'm going to try and get out of here. And then they end up in a lot of danger. And the dispatchers are assholes. You know what I mean? That dedicated account that I was on, the Lowe's, that's right in Mount Pocono. And that's like known to just get hammered. And it's like just a bad area. Whenever like this storm that's coming, that place can get hammered. Do you think they're like telling their, especially last week it happened on Friday, do you think, listen guys, we're going to pull all your loads. They get off on a weekend. We're pulling your loads on this Friday. So, you know, just go home early. I know you're going to lose money on that Friday, but, you know, safety's first. They didn't do that. They still just put the loads on them, you know, and then made, you know, they're like safety first, but in their head, they're like, man, I hope they get that done. You know what I mean? So, if you're up there, be careful. All right, enough of the BS. Part 2 of my done with Schneider and trucking. So, let me talk a little bit more about it. Now, the other video, that was, I did, you know, I said there was a couple reasons. Now, let me explain more, go a little more in depth of it. And not that I feel like I need to explain I do need to explain myself to you guys. If you guys have invested some time, not that I'm explaining, but I tell you, you know, as you know from the last video, my story was I was actually getting done with Schneider and I was going to go do that trucking job or the garbage, the roll-off job. I was actually on my way out the door. I had decided that, yeah, I'm going to go with the garbage company and do the roll-off. It's closer to home. It's local. It was actually a Monday through Friday gig, which is what I wanted. And I felt like I had to get out of Schneider for the reason, you know, they do hair tests. And I was like, I got to get out of there. I was going to get out of there anyway. I'd done my year, or I was almost a year. I was ready for more money. So anyway, so when the thing happened with Schneider, they kind of tried to get me in to do what they needed to do. You know, I was kind of put in a position of quitting. Now, like I said, in a week, I was leaving for that roll-off job. I quit doing what I was doing, with the smoking, like 3 weeks before, so I could go and do a physical and get a drug test with this new company. And I was leaving Schneider. I washed my hands on 'em. I got out of that situation. When that happened, they called me in for a test, and instead of risking it, or I was pretty sure they were gonna test me. It's not on my DAC report because they never told me that they were going. They just called me in, and I kind of read between the lines and figured it out. So I quit before I jeopardized my CDL. So I quit, and so I had to quit. So my first thought was, all right, no big deal. I quit. I'll go to this other company. I'll get a job right away. No big deal. I was, and not that I wasn't a big deal. I was in damage control. Okay, that's all right. I'm going to do this, and I'll have it planned. And then I took about a week, and I started thinking about it. The more days I thought about it, and that's when I started, second guessing. Like, I had a decision to make with the last video. Did I want to keep doing what I was doing and play a cat and mouse game, or did I want to quit doing what I was doing, go work for the roll-off company? But one guy made a comment, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And, he was right. So I had a decision to make, quit. There were a couple decisions. Another decision was I took that week back, and I started thinking about why I like to I feel like I'm rambling. I took the week, and I started thinking, like, why did this happen now? Like, why did Schneider call me in, and why was I put in a position, not by Schneider, but by the world and my higher power? Why did I have a put in a position that this is all going down now? Like, a week from now, I was going to quit and go with the garbage roll-off company and just keep rolling. Nothing would have, my world wouldn't have got flipped upside down. But Schneider called me in, and me put in a position that I had to quit, and my first thought was, well, I'm just going to go to the garbage company next week. I'll piss clean, get the job, and go. But I started to think about, not taking matters into my own hand. I was like, I try to read the signs when something happens. And I try to read, I think good things come out of some bad things. And I didn't want to jump the gun. So that's when I took a couple days, and I started thinking about, why did this happen now? Is my higher power trying to tell me something? That's what I started thinking about. Is he, or I don't really like to call him a he anymore. I used to. But is my higher power trying to get me to go in a different direction? Is he saying, hey, you were going to go get this garbage job, but you might want to rethink this. You might want to. Now, there's a couple things. So that's why I started thinking about it. And I felt like he was pushing me in a different direction. And I'll just do a quick joke. I felt he was pushing me in a different direction, saying, hey, Jay, and I'll tell you the direction I felt like he was pushing me in, but I was explaining it to one of my good buddies. I was like, I feel like my higher power is trying to tell me something. He's like, yeah, maybe he's telling you to, like, quit smoking weed, that why pick this up now, because now you picked it up and something's happening as a consequence. And, of course, me in my mind and my justification, I'm like, no, that's not it. That couldn't be it, because I want to keep doing what I'm doing, say. So we got to keep that in check. But I really didn't feel like that was the sign. Maybe it was. Maybe some of you was like, yeah, maybe that's what. I didn't feel like the sign. I'll tell you what the sign was. I felt like he was pushing me in a different direction. And the direction was, if you've listened to, I've mentioned this in another video, I always said if I could do it over, I would go into nursing. My mom was a nurse, my grandmother was a nurse, and I've been saying that for about 6 years. So I would even tell younger guys, I'm like, if I had to do it over again, man, I'd go into nursing. I go into nursing. For one, I love helping people. 2, there's never a lack of jobs. 3, they get good money. 4, it's shift work. You know when you're going in, you know when you're getting off. There's just a lot of advantages to it. couple things that have kept me from nursing that scare the hell out of me. First and foremost is the schooling, okay? I'm not, when it comes to street smarts, I'm right up there with anybody, man. I can hold my own. When it comes to studying in a book and then taking a test, I have no confidence. When I was in high school, people would ask me if I'm going to college, and I would laugh right in their face. I'd be like, freaking, I hate this school crap. You think I'm gonna go pay to put myself in hell? You guys are nuts. I'm going to party, man. I'm going to a freaking bar and having a good time. I've been waiting to get out. I thought everything was gonna be roses after I got out of high school. It don't work that way, but school was the last thing on my mind, and I still fear school. I gotta wrap this up in 4 minutes. Man, I can talk. So school was number one, which I've always feared. Number two is, if you've seen some of my videos, why I like trucking. A big thing is because I'm on my own out here. Nobody messes with me. You know, I'm doing my own thing. They tell me what to do on a computer. I go do it. I go do it my way, and that's why I like. I'm gonna get into nursing. When I get into that, there ain't none of that, man. You got a lot of bosses, you got a lot of people around, and a lot of those people are women. And if you've been watching my videos, I'm a dude's dude. You know, I like sports, I like guy things. You know, so that worries me. That worries me big time. Working around a lot of people, but, you know, I talk to my wife, and she's a teacher, and sometimes she complains about things that are going on. And I'm always like, why don't you get out of there? And she's like, I'm a teacher. You know, you have to deal with everything in life. You have to deal with. You know, there's always things that you have to deal with. And I'm a wimp, man. Sometimes when things don't go my way, I'm like, well, it's not for me anyway. I'm out of here, man. You know, life ain't like that. So I'm going to try and it's something I've always wanted to do. But the schooling was scary. So a little more of it. I was a nurse's assistant a couple years ago, and then again I did it for the winter, and then I went back to my landscape company. So I really enjoyed it. So I'm getting back into that. I got a job. I'm gonna start being a nurse's assistant again, and then I'm gonna go to school in August to be an LPN. So I'm nervous. But that's what I feel like all this happened with Schneider, and I really feel like, that was what I'm supposed to do. That was the direction I'm supposed to go. Now, but who knows? Another thing I fear is 6 months from now, I'm going to be like, I decided to be a beekeeper. I really feel like that's my calling. And I feel like I'm getting pushed in that direction. And because that's how I am, man. There's so many parts to me. Like, I have trouble believing in careers. You know, I like to try different stuff, man. You know what I mean? I get around. Anyway. So that's what I'm doing now, man. That's my part 2 video. That's the plan. Little nerd, I enjoy being an aide. I got no problem with doing the things that you gotta do. Yeah, I gotta wipe, I gotta clean up poop, straight up. But man, they're old people. They don't want to be sitting there like that, and I'm probably gonna need the help too. So, anyway, I'm gonna keep up the channel, and if you want to follow along, I got about 60 seconds to wrap this up. I don't like to go over more than 15 minutes. So, you guys be safe out there with that storm. And, yeah, just be safe out there and be cool. And thanks for listening. And I'll talk with you later. All right. See ya.